From being a 14-year military wife who was used to a six-figure household income, from learning that my husband closed multiple bank accounts behind my back that we shared, from becoming an estranged wife that had her own account that only had 4 figures in it, to a divorce and trying to figure out how I was going to pay for a divorce lawyer, from multiple job loss. One job loss ended in bankruptcy, from unexpected medical expenses. There's light to this story because with little to no income, I was still able to pay off debt and became debt free. The pandemic. Being hired literally one day for a job and 3 days later being let go, fired for the first time in my life, fired because they didn't have the staff or the time to train new hirees. To a recent car accident. But the victory in this recent car accident is that I had set myself up financially to be prepared for such an event like this, even though I didn't know it was coming. Hi, my name is Dee and welcome to Life on a Budget. This video in particular is very special to me because this is a video about how I created a budgeting method that had protected me from total financial ruin. This video is for anybody who is going through major life transitioning, whether they're leaving their parents' house, going off to college, moving into their own apartment, leaving a narcissistic or a toxic relationship, or moving across the country. Any major life change, such as death in the family, you rely on one person for income and you have to learn how to do it on your own. Listen, in my early 30s, I had to learn what most people my age learn in their early 20s. I had to start over from scratch because of my divorce. So today I'm going to show you or share with you a budgeting method that has totally protected me from total financial ruins. I was able to deal with the fluctuation of life when it comes to my financial journey. Going on my financial journey on my own after a marriage has been a real roller coaster ride for me. I had several ups, but many downs, okay? There are times that I had pity parties. I cried some more, and I cried some more again. I fell into deep depression, had a lot of anxiety, but through it all, I didn't give up by the grace of God. If you are a person who can relate to my story, I may just have a budgeting method that is right for you. This budgeting method is the foundation of how I was able to protect myself from many major life events that could have wiped me out completely. But the way I have budgeted have protected me from losing everything. So if you're a person that you feel like you could learn a thing or two from me, stay tuned. You might just actually learn. You'll have a budget, you'll think budgeting is just setting up numbers and subtracting income from expenses and you get your total, but budgeting can be more than just that. I call it a spinning drill. I said it makes absolutely no sense to create a budget during an emergency rather than practicing how you should spend in case of emergency. So I wanted to create a budgeting method where I call it a spinning drill. So if life was to happen, I was already prepared for the event. It's the same thing that happens when you go to school and they do a fire drill, or you go to work and they have a fire drill. They don't wait to an actual fire to do a drill. They create a drill before a fire happens so you'll know what to do. So I created a spinning drill that I live by, and it has protected me from major life financial events. So I created this method out of necessity, and I hope that this budgeting method will be a blessing to you all. So if you're still interested in learning this method, please stay tuned. I'm gonna get right to it. Okay, so the black swan spinning drill is very important to be. This is very important, especially if you are a person who's just being introduced to budgeting or budgeting for yourself for the first time. These are basically fundamental principles that I use when it comes to setting up my budget, so I can know what to do and how to protect myself in regards of any financial event. Okay, so we're going to start off number one with identifying your income or inflow. Now, once again, inflow is all funds that you are going to use collectively to fund or take care of your bills and expenses for the month. Okay, so you have to identify every fund that is going to be able to make you successful for your month. The next stage is what I like to call my TTI. TTI stand for tax, tithe, and investment, or I should say tithe, taxes, and investment. And regardless of my financial situation, I always paid my tithe, and I normally do the gross amount. When it comes to taxes, I normally put 15.3% aside as an independent contractor, but they always tell you to put 30% aside. If you are a W 2 employee, I would just look at my pay stub and identify how much percentage of a check they take. It probably the most, probably 6.5 or 7.5% out of the check that you have received from your employer. And I'm going to correct that right here. I got 7.5% of your check. And I just think it's important to identify your taxes because a lot of people don't realize that's a bill. And then a golden rule is 15% of your investment of your gross income to put aside for your retirement. Or you could put as much as you possibly can based on how much money you are bringing in. But the goal is to start, especially after you have paid off your debt and you have 3 to 6 months of savings. The next place we're gonna go is my favorite is savings. Okay, when it comes to savings, I have suggested four major savings that we all supposed to be looking out for. Number one will be your home savings. The next one will be your auto savings. The next one will be your medical savings. And then the next one will be your rainy day savings. All right. Your home savings is the amount of 3 to 6 months of expenses. Your auto maintenance savings is all about maintenance, auto maintenance, where you maintain the car, or if you have to purchase a car, that whole thing is everything car. That has definitely came in handy for me, especially in recent event. It was a lifesaver. The next one for savings is a medical savings account. This is because life does happen, so copay, medical expenses, medicine or vitamins, etc., would be a good idea to have a savings for that. The next savings is a rainy day fund. That could be if you get a car into not a car accident, but more so getting a traffic ticket, or there may be a death in the family and you need some money or some sort to be able to accommodate certain events you didn't know that possibly could be popping up. This account has been very helpful for me throughout the years. To be prepared for the unexpected. These four accounts, savings, are things that normally mess up a person financially and have to use their credit cards for. So I have savings for that. And I also, with those four savings, I divide my 10% of savings in half, in fours, I should say. So 1/4 of my 10% goes towards my each individual accounts for those savings. Okay, the next set and column is insurance. And when it comes to insurance, you should have home slash renters insurance if you're renting out there should have renter's insurance. The next one is auto insurance, and trust me when I tell you that that came in handy for me recently. The next one is medical insurance, and the last one is life insurance. Okay, so with life insurance, you only need that if you have dependents and people are relying for your income for survival. So if you're a parent, or you take care of your grandparent, or you take care of your parents in general, and they rely on your income, life insurance is definitely something that you need to have, because you want your family to be in good standing. The next category, number 5, is 4 walls. My 4 walls is shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. The 4 walls came from Dave Ramsey, and it has been a good idea to make sure that these things are taken care of, because with shelter, you and your family needs a place to sleep. With utilities, you're going to need heat, water, and internet, because if you work from home, you need that kind of stuff. And then groceries, you, of course, your family, you have to eat. And then transportation, you most likely need it to take care of obligations and to get to work. Okay, the next category that I'm going to discuss with you right here is called other fixed expenses, or just fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are bills and obligations that you agree that you will be responsible for paying for. Most of the time when it comes to fixed expenses, these are bills that are at a fixed dollar amount. They do not change in the nature of how much you have to pay or owe. They mostly happen frequently, mostly monthly. So these are the bills that you are mostly familiar with on a monthly basis. Example of these bills are like credit card payment, medical bills, student loans, subscriptions, any other obligations that you had agreed to, saying that you will be responsible for on a regular basis, should go in this category. Not to be confused with your 4 walls, because that's more so of survival. These are just extra payment that you know you'll have to pay for. Okay, so number 7 will be variable expenses, and these expenses are not fixed dollar amount. They fluctuate in nature. A good example of that would be groceries, even though we have grocery as a 4 wall because it's a need. But let's choose dining out because it's not a need, and if it's a case of emergency, you don't have dining out as an item. But anyway, so beauty, home supplies, toiletries, if I can spell that, is to name some of the items that can fluctuate. They're not always the same. Fund money is definitely something that is a fixed, not fixed, but a variable. Miscellaneous items is that items you didn't plan for. Family entertainment and dining out is another one. Okay, so the next line item in my budget are sinking funds. I love sinking funds, and sinking fund is like a financial strategy where over time you put money aside in small increments for a bill that is due in the near future, and it's often not a part of your monthly expense, but it can come up randomly in a month if you're not prepared for them. An example of a sinking fund is bills that have due dates, I should say annual due dates, expenses with deadlines. For me, for example, is back to school, future goals and events that you know may be coming up and you want to have the money for, so it won't mess up your monthly situation with your finances. Annual subscriptions and membership, annual subscriptions such as Adobe, Canva if you use for work, memberships such as Toastmaster. I used to be a Toastmaster, and car registration is another one that you need to consider when it comes to your sinking funds. Okay, the next line item when it comes to my spending drill is paying off extra debt and putting more money towards savings. Now, the goal is to make sure that you don't put any extra money towards savings until all your debt is paid off. So you want to attack that debt as much as possible. Now, there is seasons in your life where you may have extra money to also put towards debt and extra saving, and that's based on case-by-case situations. For example, there may be a situation where your kids have a function that came out randomly and you didn't have any money put aside for something like that, and so you might have to put that extra money towards expenses that you was not prepared for. Okay, last but not least, if I can spell this correct. Oh no, that's not spelled correctly. Okay, hey, there we go. Last but not least is category number 9 in my spinning drill is investment and donations. This is where you get to support your own future goals, like you're creating your own small business or cause, or you can support a friend future goals or small business or cause. You can also put money aside for helping other organizations that you believe in, a cause you believe in, that your favorite charity of some sort that you believe in, that you want to put money towards too. Another example of giving is to help a friend, a family, a co-worker, that member that has probably fallen on a hard time, and you can give money to them because you put that money aside to help. You can also help a stranger in need when it comes to stuff like that, and having money on the side for that is always beneficial. The goal is to be a blessing as much as possible and being able to serve people in their time of need, showing love to others and showing that they're not alone in the world. All right, you guys, this is an example of how my spinning drill is set up. It is color coded for a reason. Number 1, the gray indicates that everything is affected by income. If there's no income, I cannot invest in my TTI, taxes, tithe, and investment, and I can't invest in my savings. So therefore, this is important. This also symbolizes that if I'm not making any income, I'm only relying on my savings at that point, and my savings will be responsible for taking care of everything in the blue. The blue is representing stability in your financial situation, regardless of your financial outcome effect. How you say it? Regardless of what's happening outside of your finances, you are still have a stable ground because your savings is keeping you afloat because you already been funding it the whole time when you have income. Okay. So when life is good, I what do you call it? I color code this as gold. So I call this the living life as its golden stage, because you're doing well enough to the point that you can sink some funds, you can pay off some extra debt and add more to savings. And not only that, you can be a blessing to others by investing in your business or your dream, or investing in somebody else's business or dream, or just being a blessing to someone who may be falling on hard times, or to help a stranger. This is how it's set up. On the left side of the document, I do have pay date, budgeted in an actual amount. And you get to write down when it's due and if you already paid it. Normally I put a check mark or a date. It's up to you on how you're going to do that. And on the left side, I know that you notice that there are filled in here. Now, I know that with most people who do budget, they do not like when people fill in stuff. They like to have it blank and they can fill it out their self. But this is my Black Swan Spinning Playbook, and this is the actual way of how I manage money and train myself in case of financial chaos. Okay, so automatically I have these filled in, and the rest of it is blank because those things could be different, but this is the foundation of my budgeting method. On the right side of the sheet, as you can see, it says INFL. I normally have that there because I identify which account or which paycheck I am using to take care of these things or these expenses. I try to add some over here, the same concept over here, but it was kind of hard. So what I normally do, I just put a note beside the expense so I could know where the money is coming from and which expense or which inflow or income will be responsible for a bill or a portion of a bill. So there you have it right here. This is my my spinning drill. Now, I just want to let you know this have helped me from total financial ruin. I recently was in a car accident, and I have a video about my car accident and my frustration, and I was asking for help. And if it wasn't for my method of budgeting, I would have been totally screwed. What I did during the whole, what I call the car chaos, is that I had enough money in my auto saving account to pay for a rental car for 29 days. Okay, it took me 29 days to find a new vehicle. Okay, my auto insurance took care of the first 2 weeks, and once we came to a claim agreement on the fact that they totaled my car and they gave me the reimbursement, they were like, you got until the 25th of June to get out that car. To return the rental car. So I did not find a car at that time. So it was totally out of pocket to me to pay for the rental after that. So guess what came in handy? My savings. So this saved me from total financial ruin because of the simple fact that if I didn't have auto insurance, I would have no car, and I wouldn't be able to afford a new one without the assistance of the auto insurance. And if I didn't have a savings for my auto, I would have been panicking, trying to rush to find a car, all because money is running out. Where in this incident, I had money and I could have waited as long as I possibly can. I chose the car that I had because I was like, it's going on for a month and I don't want to go into 6 weeks looking for a car. So I did the best I can to negotiate a price, and I got a car. The only sad thing about my car purchase is that I had to purchase a car during inflation and recession. It did indicate that my buyer power was not as strong as it used to be. I had to get a lower standard of model in the make that I used to have in a car to be able to get one. A decent one. I was having a hard time finding a car that was used at a reasonable price. It didn't make sense buying a used car for 20 grand. If I just tack on a couple of extra $1,000 on, I could get a totally brand new one. So what I did, I decided to choose a car that was brand new, a standard model, and that takes me from point A to B. And it's not as luxurious as the one I had before, but what I do like about the car is that, number one, it's the first car in my adult life that I purchased on my own. All the other cars I've ever had, my older sister gave me my first one when I was a teenager. During my marriage, my ex-husband and I bought cars together, but he had more of the buying power to do so. But now, life after divorce, and I'm a divorcee, and I'm rediscovering who I am after a marriage life, being married. I was able to purchase my own vehicle, negotiate my own deal, get my car at a reasonable price, and I was satisfied with that. And this was important for me, especially if you're a person who can relate from leaving a toxic relationship where individuals tell you that you can't make it without them, you'll be nothing without them, all these negative stuff, and the fact that you can move forward and pass what they say about you and prove to yourself that you can do it without them. It is a rewarding feeling. So no, this was a major victory for me, and I'm gonna keep pressing on. But this is what helped me in a lot of situations, from job loss. Just these little tweak in a budget. Just a little tweak in a budget. It's not even major, just stuff to consider and have a great setup for it. These little tweaks make a whole difference on how you can survive financially. And this is why it's called a spinning drill. This is my drill when it comes to spinning. It doesn't matter if the times in my life is stable. It doesn't matter if it's chaotic. This is the drill. I follow the process and I trust the process, and it worked for me. These two alone have saved me from being totally financially wiped out. You understand what I'm saying? life savings, okay? And in a time of job loss and I don't have any income or anything like that, I take care of my insurance always, because the last thing you want to do in a financial situation where you don't have any income is make yourself in a worse situation by having no kind of protection. So I always pay insurance regardless of my financial situation. And I take care of the major stuff that we need to take care in order to sustain and survive. So I follow this method. I really believe that if you follow this same method, you will be successful as well. Happening in the day-to-day that makes all the difference. You can plan everything else out in the future, but if you're not implementing those things in your daily life, it's not going to happen. So if you have any questions about budgeting, if you're interested in what I do when it comes to budgeting, please let me know. You can comment below. And if you have learned anything from this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you feel that what I educate you on today was beneficial, please subscribe to my channel. So I would like you guys, I would thank you very much for staying here to the end with this video. I hope and I pray to God that I'll be a blessing to anybody who watched this. And I hope that I bring hope to those who feel like in the midst of chaos and uncertainty that they will find some kind of stability in my story. So until next time, you guys, take care.